I'm missing one.
Call into order the special joint convention of the City Council and School Committee budget, on the budget for 2019. Clerk will read the roll.
Counsel Capone.
Here.
Counsel Della Sola. Counsel DeFlorio.
Here.
Counsel DePiero.
Here.
Counsel Hanlon.
Here.
Counsel Marchese.
Here.
Counsel Matusky.
Here.
Counsel McKinnon.
Here.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Here.
And President Napolitano.
Here.
School Committeeman Ela. School Committee Member McLaughlin. School Committee Member Cardello. And School Committee Member Barros. We have 14 members present, Mr. President. We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you'll rise and salute the flag. Before we get started, I had a communication from Councilman Del Sol. He's not going to be able to attend this evening, so we're on a personal matter. Clerk will read the first item.
Item number 1 is the annual budget policy presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Demas.
Good evening. Eric Demas, CFO. Thank you for all joining me here tonight. The FY19 budget is broken out in the large binder that you have in front of you. It's broken out into 4 sections. Each section includes the financial forecast, the operating budget for the general fund, the water and sewer budgets, as well as the capital improvement plan. The water sewer has its own separate capital improvement plan that will actually be included within the water sewer section of the budget. In addition to each of those sections, I also prepared a PowerPoint for each section that is in the front of the binder, that the Cliff Notes that covers the major items for you. My goal is to provide just a brief overview and answer any questions. We'll certainly have detailed discussions at future meetings. Per Article 6.2 of the City Charter, the city's annual budget policy, the mayor shall call a joint meeting of the City Council and School Committee to include the Superintendent of Schools. The meeting needs to take place prior to the budget process. The purpose is to review the financial condition of the city, revenue and expenditure forecasts, as well as all other budgetary related information that you may want to discuss. The overall goal is to produce and develop a coordinated budget. That's what the purpose of tonight's meeting is. Start off with the financial condition of the city. Standard & Poor's has assigned the city again with a AA+ stable rating to the city's 2018 general obligation bonds of $13.5 million that were just recently issued last month. The city is remaining on a stable outlook given the information that's been in the newspapers on a national level involving Wynn Resorts has caused them to pump the brakes a little bit and just leave us at stable, even though the resort is scheduled to open a little over from a year right now. And the city's bonds are backed by the city's full faith and credit. Per Standard & Poor's, the AA+ rating reflected the following opinions and factors from S&P. Again, stable budgetary flexibility. This is something that they've noted that the city's been consistent on over the past few years, with audited FY17 reserves of 17% of our general fund expenditures. That's the 15 to 20% range that I'm usually talking about when we talk about bond ratings. Again, strong budgetary performance with a diverse revenue stream. We're led by property taxes and state aid revenue of both 50% and 44% collectively. So Moody's looks upon that revenue diversity very favorably. City maintains very strong liquidity, which provides us very strong cash flow to cover our debt service and related expenditures. The city's only required to actually go out and issue debt once a year, which saves us a significant amount of money, whereas a lot of other communities may be issuing debt multiple times during the year. They also noted strong management condition with good financial management policies and practices under the Standard & Poor's Financial Management Assessment methodology. Strong debt and contingent liability profiles. We pay off the majority of our debt, I believe it's around 75% over the next 10 years. But this is also due to low carrying charges, low net debt, and the rapid amortization of our debt, as well as strong institutional framework. And this meeting tonight is part of that strong institutional framework. Some available funds that can be used to fund the FY19 budget this year. Currently, we have a stabilization fund balance of a little over $3 million. Free cash is as certified by the Department of Revenue. We won't have that number until shortly before the tax rate setting process. The Department of Revenue waits for us to actually close our books and ensures that our audit is underway. We have an OPEB liability trust balance of about $4.6 million, capital improvement stabilization fund of around $2.5 million, and before the close of the year, we will again have the community enhancement stabilization fund of $12.5 million. That final payment will be coming into the city before close of year. All 5 of these funds have financial policies as to their funding source as part of the FY19 budget process. And again, this is another area where S&P looked upon the city very favorably because we do have set policies on the use of these reserves. In regards to the Government Financiers Officers Association's Distinguished Budget Award, this is the 3rd year that the city's received it. There is no mandated format for our budget documents. Every city is different in terms of their formal structure, as well as their culture and informal practices. There's no right or wrong approach, but these are best practices that we use and are rated by the GFOA. Very happy to, again, say that just recently we're awarded the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award for FY18, last year's budget, and the budget that is presented in front of you is a GFOA budget format, so we will be submitting this FY19 budget for the GFOA's consideration as well. The GFOA is the only national awards program in government budgeting. It certainly promotes best practice in public budgeting, and the focus really is on transparency and accountability. It does provide independent review and critique on a municipality's budget document. There are 4 reviewers from around the country that the document is submitted to, and each of the reviewers will independently go through and provide a grading on the city's budget to make sure that it does meet the GFOA's high level of standards. Unfortunately, it's only a 1-year award, so it's something that requires continuous improvement. Each of the reviewers has the notes from the prior year, where if there were any recommendations that could have been made to improve the budget, those new reviewers see what our condition was in the previous year and whether or not we did make the effort to implement those improvements. Certainly, there's a number of guidelines that are designed to assess how well a municipality's budget serves. Again, the primary focuses are that, 1, it's a policy document. It is a financial plan that encompasses more than 1 year. The city utilizes a 5-year financial forecast included in our budget. It's also an operations guide and a communication device from the mayor and city council and school committee down to department heads and staff. It's a document that is reviewed frequently throughout the entire year. Final budget document is due to the GFOA 90 days after the budget is adopted by the legislative body. And again, we will be submitting this year's budget as well. I mentioned that the minimum is a 3-year financial forecast. The city actually implements a 5-year financial forecast, but it helps us review our operational needs, identify our fiscal challenges and opportunities, develop long-term budget policies, and it also helps us plan for our capital and debt service management, new initiatives, and long-term sustainability. This document is actually even more vitally critical to this community, given the number of changes that have been going on within the city at a very rapid pace. And what this document does is allows us to cohesively look from year to year and to plan for the next couple of years as well. Copies of this 5-year financial forecast are included within your budget document. Next, we'll get into our revenues and expenditures. Our revenues include one of our largest revenue sources, which is our tax levy, local receipts, anything from motor vehicle excise taxes to water sewer charges. We also include our cherry sheet or state aid, which the state's actually in the process right now of finalizing their numbers, but we won't actually have what the actual state aid and chargebacks are until closer to July 1st, when the budget's actually put in place. But we will have all the information prior to actually setting the tax rate, which we'll do in the fall. The city's still receiving right now approximately $1.8 million in school aid related to our high school, as well as a couple of other capital-related school projects that are funded through the MSBA, as well as our other financial sources and uses, such as I mentioned free cash, our stabilization funds. All of these are tools to help set the tax rate and mitigate any potential increases in taxes. In tradition with what the GFOA is looking for, not only do we include every department, but we also include categorizations that they're looking for to provide more detailed information as far as what various forms of public services are costing us. So this year we're including breakdowns for general government, public safety, public works, education, human services, culture and recreation, debt service, as well as our other fixed costs, such as our payment of our existing bonds and pension liabilities, health insurance, other employment benefits, as well as other financial uses. So one of the other items that we include within this budget are, not only does the state give us money, but any of the chargebacks that the state they don't actually send us a bill, they actually deduct from what our state aid is. So we make sure that all of those charges are included in our budget document as well. This format is set up exactly the way the city's financial statements are set up. So when you look from a budgetary standpoint, you can tie it directly to the city's financial statements, which ties in that level of accountability. This year, our total tax liability, tax levy limit rather, we're estimating to be $135 million. The tax levy is the amount a community can raise through property taxes. The levy can be any amount up until the levy limit, which is established every year in accordance with Prop 2.5. The levy limit is actually established by statute, Prop 2.5, which allows us to be limited to the amount of growth that we can have within a given year to raise taxes. The amount of taxes estimated to be levied this year in the budget document that's presented in front of you is $113 million. This will leave us excess capacity of approximately $21.5 million. However, this does assume using $12.5 million from the mitigation money. Again, in FY19, consistent with what the council and the mayor voted to do for the FY18 budget. If it is not used and voted to be a funding source as part of the FY19 budget, then the excess levy capacity would be reduced to a little over $9 million. Getting into some detail as far as where we stand from a revenue standpoint, we're comfortable with where we're at right now with local revenues of approximately $10.1 million. State aid, again, that process is ongoing, but we're estimating approximately $75 million. School building assistance, $1.7 million. Our enterprise fund revenue, $19.2 million, as well as other financing sources and the use of the wind mitigation money to give us a total local revenue of $118.6 million. On the expense side, the budget that's in front of you, general government, again, those breakdowns, those categories that I just recently talked about, $7.4 million. Public safety at $33 million. City services at $12.9 million. Human services at $3.7, and our libraries and recreation at $1.9. So the total city budget for city departments totals a little over $59 million. You'll look in the budget document when you get into the actual detail with the reports and the budget schedules that are printed from our accounting system, you're going to see a total departmental request and then a total amount recommended from the mayor. This year, total requests submitted during the budget process were a little over $62 million. But during the process, the mayor was able to reduce those requests down to 2.6 million, or rather, reduce it by 2.6. Certainly, the mayor wanted to listen to all of the requests that were put forth, but as we've been saying for the past couple of years, FY19 is a challenging year for the city from a budgetary standpoint, given that the casino will not be operational fully until FY20, and there were a number of costs that the cities had to bring on, such as additional police, fire, and the like over the 3 years prior to the opening. So this is going to be our most challenging budget year until the casino actually opens, and then all of the indirect items that are going to happen, additional hotels, restaurants, and that sort of thing, that will all help generate additional revenue resources. But the mayor felt it was important to do everything that he could to reduce the amount of the increases in this year's budget so that people's tax bills would be reflected accordingly. This does reflect a 4% total increase, but after you remove some fixed costs such as waste removal, electricity, et cetera, some other things that are outside of our control, this actually represents the budget in front of you on the city side, a little over a 2% increase from fiscal year 18. Our other largest portion of the budget is expenses in the school department. These numbers were provided by Mr. Obremski. So the FY19 foundation budget per the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is a little over $95 million this year. When you actually add in additional monies to be funded above net school spending of $6.5 million, you back out the indirect costs, the chargebacks, that these are items that the city pays for through health insurance and the like that aren't budgeted within the school department. That brings in a total recommended budget of $76.6 million for the school department. You then add in the special ed transportation of another 4.7. This brings the total school department budget in at $81.3 million. This represents approximately a 9% increase over FY18 from the school's budget. That 9% increase, though, does not include the supplemental appropriations that the 5.5 that the city council has already taken into account this year. So the total school department budget that was put forth before the school committee and is included in this year's budget is going to be the total budget for the year. There will be no more supplemental appropriations during the year from other funding sources such as Medicare, reimbursements, state funding, stabilization, or free cash. The goal is to put forth a total amount of what it costs to provide the fine education that we provide. I talked about Moody's, or rather Standard & Poor's had given us, again, another AA+ rating, which is one rating below the highest rating that you can receive as a AAA. They had not yet seen our audited fiscal 18 because we certainly haven't closed the year. However, one of the concerns that they did raise and one of the items that they said could have a negative impact, they were concerned with our supplemental appropriations related to the school department that were done outside of the budget process. We had assured them on numerous occasions that that wasn't going to be the case this year because we certainly didn't have the ability to draw down on those existing reserves this year. So the money that we use, we actually need to replace. Couple of updates. The School Finance Review Commission has been meeting regularly. We had a meeting scheduled last week, and this is something that's going to be ongoing on at least a monthly basis. However, one of the things that the mayor asked me to address tonight was a recent article in one of the local papers regarding homecoming. At no time during any of the School Finance Review Commission meetings was homecoming ever discussed, or were any items talked about not being included at the detail level. He was very unhappy to be reading that in one of the local newspapers. I do know that the budget that the school committee is submitting to you, that line item is stricken out. But just for the record, that was never discussed during a School Finance Review Commission meeting. And he also wanted me to point out there's always been a very strong collaborative effort between the school and the city. Last year, I think the school budgeted around $100,000 related to homecoming, but the city actually kicked in an additional approximately $25,000 in strong support of homecoming, because it is a great event, through police details, fire details, overtime for public works. So just wanted to make sure that we set the record straight, if you will, that that wasn't the purpose or anything that was happening in the School Finance Review Commission. And there are a number of counselors that are here that were present at, that are on that commission, if anybody would like to double check with them. From there, we're going to move into our fixed costs, and this is an area, again, outside of the city's control, and have a significant impact on this year's budget. The retirement assessment, which is our minimum required contribution to the Everett Pension Fund, $15.2 million. Our employee insurance, primarily our health insurance, is at $22 million. FICA, or our payroll withholding taxes, $1.5 million. Employee injuries, which include active police and fire, at $702,000. Property liability insurance at $1.9 million, and our debt service at $14.3. Total fixed costs this year came in at $55.8 million, which represents an 8% increase over fiscal year 18. So to wrap it up, the city has proven to have sound financial policies, reserves, and a stable economic outlook, as verified and reported by Standard & Poor's, who has an obligation to our bondholders to report an objective opinion on the city's condition. This administration will seek to again receive this award, because everything we do, including this GFOA budget process, plays into part to the city's bond rating. So it shows that we're not just concerned with the amount of cash that we have in the bank, it's what we're showing them from an overall management standpoint with the city. The FY19 budget, as presented, is balanced with nearly $22 million in excess capacity available. And it does include the financial forecasting and sound fiscal policies that will help the city's continued success. What has been working, we're just constantly working on improving, as recommended and recognized by S&P. And on that is the overall presentation. I know that we're going to be getting into a number of budget meetings where we're going to have very detailed information. Any questions that are asked during that process, very happy to answer. But if anybody has any questions right now on the overview, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, if we could, because we have another meeting scheduled at 6:30, which is, we're almost there, in this presentation, I ask that the members hold on their meetings for till the actual budget hearings. The clerk has a motion that we need to approve and pass. I'm going to ask the clerk to read the motions.
Just, Mr. President, for item number 1, I would just recommend that we accept it and place on file, then read item number 2, and that's the one that's going to be referred to the Budget Committee, and I have the specific language.
Second.
Please.
So we have a motion referred to the Committee on Budget meetings set by the clerk committees and the chairman of the Budget Committee on the clerk chambers, the following dates. Again, just keep it official, we're going to do a roll call vote. We've already discussed this.
Item 1 was just to accept and place on file. Item number 2 I have to read.
So we have a motion
Yes.
to accept item number 1 and place on file. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, excuse me.
Council McLaughlin.
Will this go to the meeting at 7 o'clock? The senator, I believe, is in the chambers for a reason. Will he have an opportunity to speak at our regular meeting? This isn't on the calendar for this evening's meeting.
Okay, this has to do with the budget.
Right.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm losing my
So,
voice.
again,
So this does not go to our regular meeting at 7 o'clock, correct?
no.
No. This is just a presentation we have to do this by charter.
Okay, so we've accepted the dates. Clerk will continue to read the remaining motion.
Item number 2, Mr. President, is a presentation to the City Council of the proposed FY19 operating budget. And I have a motion that will be made and then seconded from the committee, from the group, I mean. The motion for item number 2 is to refer to the Committee on Budget for committee date set by the Clerk of Committees being Wednesday, June 13th, at 6 p.m. for the school department budget. The superintendent and his administrative staff shall be invited to appear at the school budget hearing, Monday, June 4th, at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, June 6th at 6 p.m. for the entire city budget. 6 members shall constitute a quorum unless otherwise specified. The mayor, city auditor, and mayor's chief of staff shall be invited to appear at the budget hearings to answer questions. Department heads are requested to have the following information available for the budget committee: the total amount expended to date for the FY 2018 budget for all line items, the amount they expect to be unexpended at the end of the year from FY 18 budget and from what account, all open purchase orders in their department, names of funded, unfilled positions that aren't filled during the course of the year, and whether or not they expect to fill the positions during the course of this fiscal year. The Committee on Budget to report out to the City Council on Monday, June 25th, 2018, at 7 p.m. All budget hearings shall be televised, and copies of the budget shall be published on the city's website, and a copy made available at the Parlin Memorial Library and the city clerk's office. The city clerk shall advertise for a public hearing for all those interested in the proposed fiscal year 2019 annual budget submitted by the mayor for the June 25th meeting at 7 p.m. in accordance with the city charter. The notice shall contain times and places where copies of the budget are available for inspection by the public.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion been printed and seconded. Councilor Hanlon on the motion.
On the motion, Mr. Chairman, just on item 2, that 6 members shall constitute a quorum unless otherwise specified. Are we going to get in trouble with the state where if we have more than 6 people present, like we do with our own committee meetings, if we have more than what the quorum is? That
No, actually, it's the other way around. Okay, a quorum is, we're stating that a quorum is 6 members. The committees cannot exceed over 6 members, because then we're in violation of the open meeting law. But this is a little different situation. This is
in essence a committee of the whole, so all
Okay.
members are welcome. We need 6 to do the hearing.
Correct.
That's the
Does it
difference.
say that somewhere? That's all. I want to make sure it says that somewhere.
It's not stated, but it's just known. It's a budget
and
hearing.
and this quorum is the same amount that we've entertained for the last 6 years.
I know we have, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Council McLaughlin on the motion.
and, it should be a roll call.
All right, so we have a motion to accept the budget information. Roll call vote, please.
Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin. President Napolitano.
Yes.
School Committee Member Ela. School Committee Member Marconi Barros. School Committee Member McLaughlin. School Committee Member Cardello. And I see School Committee Member Parker. Mr. President, that was 14 yeas, 0 nays. You have referred to the Budget Committee.
Have a motion to adjourn, seconded. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. That's why we're not asking questions, just for the presentation. Michael.
You know what? I'm sorry, I actually don't know.
You're on public utilities. So we need you for a help school. Madam was supposed to have already taken care of.
Oh, okay, so you
Yeah.
don't need the thing? Don't do a search for it?
No, already done.
Because I know it was on the car. As a matter of fact, I was driving around with it for a day, and what the hell is that thing? And I didn't even know that it was Thursday night. You know, it just, something screwy that happened, you know, so, yeah. And there was a parking spot on my side. And I parked there like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just left it.
Happened to you last year, and my neighbor pulled up. I go, no, I go, actually, it's one of those 5-month.
Yeah,
you
oh,
know,
yeah.
He goes, oh, yeah, that's right, they got us fair and square. But it's all set.
All right, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All right, this is the Committee on Public Utilities. This is Monday, May 14, 2018. We're at 6:33 p.m. I have Councilor Hanlon.
Present.
I have Councilor DeFlorio. And I have Councilor DePiero. We have 3 members present. We do have a
Quorum is
quorum.
present. As soon as we clear the chambers. Okay. We will not pledge a flag because we have already done it, so we'll just wait one instant for our quorum to be filled.
All right,
Okay.
the only piece of business is the order up by Council Peter Napolitano as president that a public hearing held regarding a petition from National Grid requesting permission to locate pole, fixtures, wires, including necessary sustaining and protective fixtures across the flowway at McKinley Street, National Grid, stub pool 2056-1.
Thank you. If I may, thank you, gentlemen. Please identify yourself for the record.
Dan Cameron with National Grid with offices at 170 Medford Street in Malden.
Mike Cordima, National Grid Electric at 170 Medford Street, Malden.
Okay. At our last meeting, I think that you gentlemen indicated that you were trying to find some sort of a new type of pole for this situation. Could you just fill us in on that if you found anything?
Sure. And Mike, as you know, is the engineer on this job, but we do have a technology. It's called a composite pole, and it's a company that each pole has to be designed individually because of the weight and what's going to go on the pole. So this is now a standard in our company. We have the company that will help us design this is actually coming to the Malden office next week, not this week, next week. And we'll be starting that design, and once that's complete, we'll be able to order the pole, and then we'll be able to come back to you and show it to you, and then hopefully if that's approved, we can go ahead and actually build it. But it will be a pole that does not require a guy wire. So it's just a pole itself, but it'll be sturdy enough to hold everything that we want to put on it.
Good, good. Councilor DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, guys. Just one question is how long do you need to come back with that design?
I would say if we can put it out another 30 days.
That would be my motion then.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any questions,
Counsel-
Council DeFlorio?
Repeat the motion, please.
To lay over for 30 days so they can come back with the design, and if that's what we like, we'll
Yep.
approve it and
Okay.
and get it right,
That
get along.
works. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Councilor DeFlorio, okay. Yes, okay, go ahead. Yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen, for appearing. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you,
And
guys.
the motion is made and
Have a good
seconded.
night.
Motion made and seconded. Clerk will please call the roll. Don't have to, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So also, all opposed? Three to nothing, and...
Motion to adjourn?
No further motion to adjourn. All in favor?
All right,
We have adjourned.
thank you.
Okay. You want these two, John? Huh? Okay.